For more than 25 years, Burj Al Arab sold the world a promise. Perfection does not age. Gold glowed. Crystal flashed. Every suite became a stage where money appeared powerful enough to stop time. Then, in 2026, the promise closed its doors. Jumeirah announced a restoration since the hotel opened in 1999, an 18-month operation led by interior architect Tristan Auer. A staff member told Reuters the hotel would shut during the work, moving guests elsewhere. The landmark that taught Dubai how to sell impossible luxury now has to disappear before the world can watch it grow old. And this is not a simple renovation. Inside are 198 suites, marble, Swarovski crystal, gold leaf, colors, and an identity recognized before guests reach the island. Change too little, and the hotel may return trapped in 1999. Change too much, and it may return without the excess that made it Burj Al Arab. What happens when a timeless icon finally meets time? After 18 months behind closed doors, will Dubai reopen a legend or reveal an expensive imitation of its own past? Burj Al Arab was never designed to behave like an ordinary hotel. When it opened in 1999, its sail-shaped silhouette did more than alter Dubai's coastline. It gave the young city an image the world could recognize instantly. Long before Burj Khalifa dominated the skyline, this building told tourists, investors, and competitors that Dubai was willing to manufacture spectacle on a scale few cities would attempt. Everything inside reinforced that message. Guests did not simply purchase a room. They entered one of 198 suites, passed through an atrium saturated with color, marble, crystal, and gold, and received the personalized butler service Jumeirah says helped redefine luxury hospitality. The product was not accommodation, it was controlled astonishment. That distinction matters because ordinary hotels can renovate when carpets fade, technology changes, or customer tastes move on. Burj Al Arab cannot admit anything has faded. Its business value has always depended on appearing finished, untouchable, and permanently ahead. Even Atkins Realis, the original designer, describes the hotel as more than a profitable property. Its form helped attract visitors, publicity, and investment to Dubai. That made every surface part of a larger machine. The building sold rooms, but the image sold the city. For 27 years, that machine worked by hiding the labor required to keep perfection visible. Guests saw polished marble, reflected light, and ceremonial service. They did not see maintenance schedules, replacement materials, aging technology, or the difficulty of matching details created for another era. Now the illusion has reversed. The hotel that once proved Dubai could create the future must close so specialists can prevent it from looking like the past. And after decades of judging every other hotel by its extravagance, Burj Al Arab faces a humiliating question. Has luxury changed faster than the icon that defined it across the world? Time rarely attacks a luxury hotel with one dramatic failure. It enters quietly, through thousands of small comparisons. A surface no longer reflects light. A control system feels one generation behind. A color scheme that once appeared fearless begins to look tied to the year it was created. Nothing has to collapse. The customer's definition of perfection only has to move. That is the danger Burj Al Arab now faces. Its interiors were conceived when visible abundance was the message. Gold leaf, saturated colors, marble, crystal, and theatrical scale announced wealth before a guest touched anything. But luxury in 2026 often speaks a different language. Privacy, wellness, natural materials, invisible technology, and spaces designed to feel effortless rather than overwhelming. This does not mean Burj Al Arab's style has failed. It creates a more uncomfortable problem. The features most likely to appear excessive to one generation are exactly the features that make the hotel impossible to confuse with any other property. Remove them, and the building may become more fashionable, but less valuable as an icon. Preserve them without change, and timeless may become a polite word for dated. Jumeirah's chosen architect, Tristan Auer, has therefore been given something more dangerous than a decorating commission. He must decide which parts of 1999 are heritage and which are simply old. New technology must enter without dominating the rooms. Restored materials must look original without becoming replicas. The hotel must feel renewed, but the hand of renewal should disappear. That creates a trap with no safe exit. Every preserved detail risks carrying the past forward. Every replacement risks erasing it. And the longer the doors remain closed, the greater the expectation becomes. Guests will not return merely to see whether the marble shines. They will return to judge whether the hotel still produces the shock that made it famous. The restoration is not fighting decay alone. It is fighting the possibility that the world has learned to be impressed by something else. The restoration is being presented as refinement, not reinvention. But that reassuring phrase hides a brutal design problem. Burj Al Arab is not a blank building waiting for a fashionable makeover. It is a memory machine, and almost every surface has already been photographed, judged, and fixed in the public imagination. Tristan Auer has said, "The famous entrance aquarium and colorful lobby will remain, while roughly 70 to 80% of the existing decor is expected to be retained and restored rather than discarded." The spa, however, will undergo a more significant reworking to improve how guests move through it while keeping the visual language consistent. In other words, some spaces must feel untouched, while others must change without appearing to have changed. That is where restoration becomes surgery. The patient must survive, but the scars cannot be visible when the doors finally open again to the world once more. Preserve too much, and the hotel risks reopening as an immaculate museum of 1990s luxury. Replace too much, and the familiar shock of recognition disappears. Add visible technology, and the fantasy becomes ordinary. Hide that technology behind the old design, and every wall, fabric, light, and control becomes harder to coordinate. Even the colors create a trap. Blue, red, gold, and green are staying. Auer has said the opulence may be pushed further, not softened. Fabrics, embroidery, and furnishings are being developed specifically for this hotel. That protects the identity, but it also raises the cost of every mistake. A standard replacement can be ordered again. A bespoke failure must be remade. Imagine one restored panel returning a fraction too bright, one fabric reflecting light differently, one modern control interrupting a composition guests remember from decades of photographs. Nothing has collapsed, yet the illusion is broken. Burj Al Arab is not trapped between old and new. It is trapped between two forms of failure, returning as a beautiful relic, or returning as a modern hotel that no longer feels like Burj Al Arab. And identity is not the only thing on the operating table. Behind 18 months of silence sits a second mystery, an invoice that has never been made public. Jumeirah has revealed the duration, the designer, and the philosophy of the restoration. It has not publicly revealed the budget. That silence creates the central question. What does it cost to make a 27-year-old symbol look as if time never touched it? This is not a conventional hotel refurbishment built from standard catalogs. Auer has described the work as haute decoration. Fabrics, embroidery, furnishings, and finishes are being developed for one property and one purpose. Much of the existing decor is expected to be restored by craftspeople rather than simply thrown away. Technology must be upgraded, yet hidden. Familiar rooms must return with the same emotional impact, even when the machinery behind them has changed. Every one of those decisions carries a price. Original elements must be documented, removed, protected, repaired, and returned. New materials must match an interior created in another era. Custom failures cannot be replaced from a warehouse shelf. And during an 18-month closure, the hotel is not merely spending money on construction. It is also surrendering the ability to sell stays inside one of the most famous luxury properties on Earth. No reliable public figure currently reveals the total restoration cost or the commercial impact of that closure. Inventing a billion-dollar bill would be easy. The truth is more unsettling. The size of the check remains hidden, while the scale of the intervention is visible to everyone. That reversal is almost cruel. For decades, guests paid to see gold, crystal, marble, and theatrical excess. Now the owner must pay to stop those same materials from becoming evidence of age. What once created the halo has become an obligation that must be preserved, upgraded, insured, and eventually replaced. The real price of an icon is not paid when it is built. It arrives when the icon must be built again, while the world is expected to believe that nothing ever changed. And Burj Al Arab is paying that price, while the luxury market around it keeps moving. While Burj Al Arab disappears behind an 18-month restoration, the coastline beside it is not waiting. A younger Jumeirah icon is already open, already collecting attention, and already speaking the language of contemporary luxury without asking permission from the past. Jumeirah Marsa Al Arab opened in March 2025. Its super yacht-inspired form completed Jumeirah's nautical trilogy beside the wave-shaped Jumeirah Beach Hotel and the sale of Burj Al Arab. The resort arrived with 300 rooms, 86 suites, 82 private residences, 11 restaurants, 4 bars, an 82-berth marina, and a 3,500 square meter spa. Within its first year, it entered the world's 50 best hotels list at number 20. That does not prove it has replaced Burj Al Arab, but emotionally, the contrast is merciless. One hotel is closed, protecting a 27-year legacy and debating which memories can survive. The other was designed for current expectations from the beginning. Contemporary rooms, wellness technology, softer materials, marina access, privacy, and a luxury vocabulary that does not need to be translated from 1999. Burj Al Arab carries an advantage. No new resort can purchase global recognition, yet recognition also becomes weight. Every alteration must answer to old photographs, returning guests, and a mythology built over decades. Marsa Al Arab carries no such burden. It can experiment without being accused of betrayal. The most dangerous rival, therefore, may not stand in Saudi Arabia or on Palm Jumeirah. It stands within the same brand family, close enough to appear in the same skyline, younger enough to reveal how far hospitality has moved. And it is doing so in public, every day. The threat is not that the newcomer is automatically better. The threat is that, while Burj Al Arab works to preserve the definition of luxury it created, the market may already be learning a different definition next door. Burj Al Arab was built in an era when luxury wanted to be seen. Gold dominated. Color filled the atrium. Marble, crystal, fountains, aquariums, and theatrical scale told guests they had entered a world ordinary rules could not reach. Modern luxury often presents itself differently. It speaks through privacy, wellness, natural textures, quiet technology, flexible space, and service that feels invisible rather than ceremonial. The richest room may now be the one that removes friction so that nothing appears to be trying. That shift creates a deeper problem. Is Burj Al Arab being restored because its materials have aged, or because the meaning of wealth has begun to move away from the language that made the hotel famous? Tristan Auer's answer is not retreat. He has said, the blue, red, gold, and green will remain, with new variations, and that the opulence may be pushed even further. Bespoke fabric, embroidery, craftsmanship, and technology are being developed specifically for the property. The restoration is not apologizing for excess, it is doubling down on it. That decision protects the hotel's DNA. It also turns the reopening into a gamble. If guests still want spectacle, the renewed Burj Al Arab may feel fearless. If the market increasingly rewards quieter forms of luxury, the same intensity could resemble a monument refusing to hear the century change. Neither outcome can be measured by marble alone. The real test is whether visitors still experience astonishment before they begin analyzing the decor. Once a guest starts asking whether the gold feels current, the illusion is already weakening. Burj Al Arab cannot copy the hotels that came after it. Becoming quieter might make it fashionable, but less recognizable. Remaining extravagant protects its identity, but risks trapping that identity inside a disappearing taste. And that is where restoration becomes a trap. Preserve too much, and the hotel becomes a museum. Change too much, and the museum loses its masterpiece. The restoration now enters its most dangerous phase, because every successful decision creates a different kind of risk. If Jumeirah preserves too much, Burj Al Arab may reopen as a perfectly maintained museum of luxury from 1999. Returning guests may recognize every color, every curve, and every theatrical gesture, but recognition alone does not guarantee relevance. A landmark can remain famous while quietly losing the power to define what comes next. If the designers change too much, the opposite danger appears. The technology may become faster, the circulation smoother, and the rooms more comfortable, yet the hotel could return looking like an expensive interpretation of itself. The surfaces would be new, but the identity might feel copied rather than continued. The compromise between those extremes is not automatically safer. Keeping the colors while changing the materials, preserving the atmosphere while hiding new systems, and restoring most of the decor while rewriting selected spaces could leave Burj Al Arab suspended between eras. It might be too altered to function as pure heritage, yet too restrained to reclaim leadership from younger hotels designed for current tastes. That is the restoration trap. Closing is necessary, but closure increases expectation. Modernizing is necessary, but modernization threatens recognition. Preserving the past protects the brand, but the same past may be what makes the brand feel vulnerable. Even success creates another burden, because the renewed hotel will have to justify every month it remained unavailable. For decades, Burj Al Arab controlled the comparison. Other hotels were measured against its excess, its service, and its unmistakable silhouette. Now the comparison has reversed. The icon must prove it can return without becoming either a relic or a replica. From this point, the project is no longer preparing for a reopening. It is preparing for a trial in which every restored room, every preserved color, and every hidden upgrade will be presented as evidence before the watching global world. When the doors finally open again, the first guests will not enter as ordinary customers. They will enter as witnesses. Some will remember the original lobby, the aquarium, the color, and the deliberate excess. They will search for familiar details and notice anything that feels too polished, too quiet, or too different. Others will arrive without nostalgia. They will compare the hotel with newer resorts built around privacy, wellness, seamless technology, and a softer version of wealth. Burj Al Arab must satisfy both groups at once. The first test will be memory. Can returning guests feel the same shock they experienced years earlier, even after materials have been restored and systems replaced? The second test will be relevance. Can younger visitors see a living hotel rather than a beautifully preserved symbol from their parents' era. The third test will be status. Will the global media still describe Burj Al Arab as a standard others must chase, or as a historic landmark Dubai has successfully protected? There is no neutral result. If the restoration is too visible, critics will say the original identity was weakened. If it is almost invisible, others may ask what 18 months of closure actually achieved. If the hotel returns more extravagant, it risks appearing defiant toward changing tastes. If it returns quieter, it risks surrendering the very personality that made it famous. That is why reopening becomes a public trial. The building will not be judged only by engineers, designers, or loyal guests. It will be judged through photographs, reviews, social media comparisons, room videos, and thousands of instant reactions from people who may never stay there. For more than 2 decades, Burj Al Arab judged every other definition of luxury simply by existing. On the day it returns, the direction of judgment changes. The world will decide whether Dubai has restored a legend, modernized a masterpiece, or spent 18 months producing the most expensive imitation of its own memory under immediate global scrutiny today, worldwide. Burj Al Arab is not collapsing. Its sail still stands above the Gulf, and the restoration itself is evidence that Jumeirah intends to protect the landmark for another generation. But something has already broken: the illusion that luxury can exist outside time. For 27 years, the hotel's image depended on hiding the labor required to sustain it. Guests saw gold, marble, crystal, color, and flawless service. They did not see the inspections, replacements, craftsmen, technology, planning, and difficult decisions needed to keep those surfaces feeling permanent. The 18-month restoration pulls that hidden machinery into view. Burj Al Arab may return brighter, smoother, more advanced, and more expensive. It may once again astonish visitors. Yet the closure has revealed that perfection is not a condition a building reaches. It is a performance that must be funded, repaired, edited, and repeated. That is the final reversal. The hotel once proved Dubai could create an image powerful enough to define global luxury. Now Dubai must prove it can preserve that image after the world, the market, and the meaning of wealth have changed around it. The real question is not whether Jumeirah can afford the restoration. It is whether restoration can purchase something far harder than marble, technology, or craftsmanship: the right for an aging icon to be seen as the future again. That right cannot be manufactured by decoration alone. It must be earned in the instant the renewed hotel confronts a generation with no obligation to admire its celebrated historic past. When Burj Al Arab returns, what should be waiting behind those doors? Should visitors see colors, gold, crystal, and excess of 1999 preserved as they remember them? Or should Dubai accept that an icon cannot lead the future while trapped in the moment that created it? There is no painless answer. Preserve too much, and the hotel risks becoming a museum. Change too much, and the museum loses its masterpiece. This restoration matters beyond this property. It asks whether architecture can age without losing authority, whether a brand can modernize without erasing its mythology, and whether money can protect an image after culture has moved on. Burj Al Arab may reopen as a renewed legend. It may return as a magnificent relic. The difference will not be measured only in materials or technology. It will be measured in the moment guests step inside and decide whether they are seeing the future or a polished memory. Which version would you choose? Leave your view below and subscribe for the next investigation into the hidden systems keeping Dubai's most famous icons alive. This video is based on publicly available statements from Jumeirah, reported interviews, and independent news coverage available at the time of production. The complete restoration scope, budget, commercial impact, and confirmed reopening date have not been publicly disclosed and may change. References to aging, competition, brand pressure, and possible future outcomes are editorial analysis, not claims of structural danger or established financial loss. The restoration was planned independently of the reported drone debris incident. This content is for documentary and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or engineering advice.